Oh, what haven't I learned in the last few days?
Today from Janet, thinking about how actually undisciplining can help a discipline.
Problems are too complicated to be understood by any one discipline.
Absolutely amazing. It's a very rare opportunity to sit down with individuals whose fields I know nothing about.
And open not only the eyes, open the mind.
In order to facilitate a very profound and intensive conversation between experts from all over the world and from very different disciplines, we are very grateful to be given the facilities by the Klaus Tschira Foundation and their financial support to enjoy 3 days of very, very profound discussion.
What is the proficiency of a certain profession which is not regulated and is not professionalized? And this is translators.
You need to take into account what I call transversal abilities, which are present in the German vocational system as Fähigkeiten, which are to do with slightly more abstract but important abilities in the workplace, closely connected with autonomy and working with others and with project management.
I'm really interested in what role workplace change has on how engineers learn.
This year, we focus on the intricate relationship between professions and proficiency. Proficiency relates to the individual and the individual's abilities, capacities, expertise, experience, all the ingredients that people need in order to develop new solutions for problems and to create new knowledge. On the other hand, we look at professions, and not only professions, but other social collectives such as academic disciplines, communities of practice, and other social circles that all help to understand, to codify, to legitimize, to train on the individual proficiency and make it useful for society.
The main challenges for knowing and learning in this digital age are the absolute, I think, saturation of information that surrounds us to the point where we can't navigate our way. We can't tell what's important from what's not important. So the search for knowledge, which used to mark education in decades past, has become just the ability to manage information on a day-to-day basis. And that means that today's learners are walking out of institutions of education without a foundational body of knowledge that's going to be necessary later.
For economists of innovation, this is sort of for granted that data and intangibles are included and measured as intangible capital. So what I'm going to discuss about is that most of the data value generated in companies, especially in a few big tech companies, are actually generated by individuals that are not the value extractors of that. But also I'm going to raise issues that are related to this, mainly ethical issue on whether we can monetize personal data, which is a hugely debated topic nowadays.
Looking at character and attitude to work, which is emphasized in some systems, is very important in the workplace. For example, in Germany, you talk about Personale and Sozialkompetenz. In the Netherlands, it's Houding. And in French-speaking part of Belgium, they talk about savoir-être. So those are two dimensions of professional attributes which are important and relatively neglected in the English-speaking world.
What does it take to be a professional translator? My conclusion is that eventually the only thing that counts, the only thing that makes somebody that knows the language a professional translation is a certain identity format that one develops or comes with to the profession, and that's it, more or less.
So the plumacies were close to disappearing. First, it was because of the height of the boom. Lots of birds were being decimated by the trade, so they weren't having the same kind of access to materials. But of course, the plumacies, being quite innovative, learned to work with farmyard feathers and were able to produce very similar types of work, highly crafted feather fashions. And obviously, when bird protection laws were put in place in about the 1920s, that did see a reduction in the number of plumacies that were working in Paris at that time. And it's only more recently that Chanel kind of took over one of the plumacy workshops and joined it into its Parafection empire, that again, the craft has kind of seen a little bit of a resurgence in recent times.
In this moment, there are near 90,000 of psychologists, and near 80% of that residing in the large city of Buenos Aires, La Plata, Rosario, and Córdoba. There are many reasons. One of them, of course, is related to the history of our country. Some people said that Argentinians are Italian who is speaking Spanish. Of course, that is contradictory, and for trying to understand, we have features of African cultures, of native and aboriginal people. So we are a mixed combination of all of that.
I did interviews with 53 Ontario, Canada engineers. So I don't think there's tons of change at the university education level. The change is the fact of how they're learning on the job. They don't have apprenticeships like they used to. They don't have mentorship like they used to. So there's less time to learn from others on the job, less time to sort of be brought along and brought up to speed. It means that there's a lot more self-learning, learning really quickly to try and learn just enough to get the job done.
My curiosity about my research was, why do people become academics? Because it's a very difficult profession that sort of takes us night and day. What I've discovered is that people fall in love with the process of giving their lives to generating new insights, sharing it with peers and with their students. And it takes a lot of hurdles and a lot of energy, but a lot of love at the same time. What I find very surprising is how few people actually plan to become academics, and many intend to continue beyond retirement.
The Siemens company was founded as a telegraph company by Werner Siemens in 1847 in Berlin. Werner's brother Wilhelm, who changed his name into William when he went to England in 1844 and decided to stay. He has no very good fundamental education, but I think the most important point is that he worked in a lot of companies, and doing that he acquired a lot of competencies. In any case, they must understand the foreign culture. And if they will not do that, they will not be successful.
Oh, what haven't I learned in the last few days? That it's too easy, even trying to work as an interdisciplinary researcher and academic, it's too easy still to slip into feeling bounded by disciplines. So no matter how hard we try to work on an interdisciplinary basis, it's actually really easy just to fall into the usual traps. And this event's been great for kind of pointing that out and reinvigorating me to just try and keep the interdisciplinarity going.